But anyway, my name is Theresa Torres. I'm the Graduate Program Director at Student Financial Services. I've been at Georgetown for more than half my life. In fact, I got my first reading glasses, something to look forward to, and also my gray hair that I had to cover up. But Georgetown is a terrific place to be. It's something where I'm the Graduate Program Director, so I work behind the scenes. We have a lot of different graduate programs at Georgetown, in the arts and sciences, the graduate medical, nursing, school of continuing studies, the business school. So a lot of different programs, a lot of people that my office, including myself, we interact with on a daily basis. So it's something that you're more than just a name and a number. You know, it's something that it's community. So that being said, how many know where Student Financial Services is located? Clock tower. The clock tower behind us right here, or behind me. Student Financial Services is located in the Healing Building in the basement. The only time that you hear yelling or screaming is when we see the field mice running across. I call it a dungeon sometimes, but that's the only screaming that you hear. We have a counseling area, and on the handout in your packet, you'll see the list of names. It's broken down by the first letter of your last name, pretty straightforward. The counseling area also interacts with undergraduate students and their parents. Graduate financial aid is a very simple process, very straightforward. There's no mystery, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, to make sure that if there are any mysteries that you let me know, but be gentle with the questions. So you'll see the breakdown, the location. Then we say what type of, what do you need to do in order to get financial aid? For the most part, those of you who are interested have already completed most likely the FAFSA, the pre-application for federal student aid. You complete it online. When you submit the information, it goes to the federal processor. They'll run it through, they'll calculate the expected family contribution. It goes through databases. And then the school, when it's completed and it goes through these databases, we get the output electronically. And then you get the output called the student aid report. On the student aid report, it's important that you look at the first page, because if you have to submit additional documentation to us, like I said, your information goes through certain databases. So if you borrowed previously for loans, it looks, have you defaulted on any federal loans? If so, you need to clear it up with the institution. It runs it through, if you're a man, it goes through the selective service database, it goes through and checks if you're a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen. It'll tell you on the student aid report whether or not you need to come back to our office to submit additional documentation. In a perfect world, the majority of the graduate students, again, pretty straightforward. There's no issues with providing additional documentation. Then the next step is, how do we know what to give you in terms of financial aid, federal loans? The pretty obvious, what's the cost of attendance for the program? So mind you, we plus cost of attendance is what I keep track of. Your program is pretty straightforward. So it's 12 credits fall and spring, year 1 and year 2 of the program. Sometimes, on occasion, you might go and do maybe a study abroad for one of the semesters, during your time here to another institution. I think 1 or 2 or 3 of you might do that. And so, of course, we're going to adjust the cost of attendance appropriately. Some of you might be coming to the part-time program. Are there any part-time students? Okay. So you'll notice that maybe going forward, a good recommendation for you is maybe put down the part-time costs on the sheet 2. I'll make a note of that. But again, with the part-timers, if you look on the handout, there's certain expenses, mandatory charges that won't be assessed to you, and then we're going to make some other adjustments. But I'll go through that in a little while. How many students are dual degrees? Okay. And then how many students maybe apply to 2 or more programs at Georgetown but aren't considered to be dual degrees? So I'm going to try to address all the different audiences as I go through my presentation. So the handout again is for somebody in 12 credits fall in spring, year one. To build a cost of attendance, we say, okay, what are the mandatory tuition and mandatory fees at Georgetown? And then we calculate indirect expenses, which include room and board, books and personal travel. So that's pretty straightforward. For those of you who are going half-time, so half-time at Georgetown for graduate students is 4.5 credit hours. And sometimes you use part-time, but in my world, if you use part-time, we say less than half-time, if that makes sense. So in financial aid, half-time students, and in your program taking 6 credits fall and spring, we calculate, obviously, tuition based on 6 credits fall and spring. Pretty straightforward charge per credit. The mandatory fees, if you look on the handout in the footnote area, if you are registered for 9 or more credit hours, there's a Yates fee that will be assessed on your billing statement. So anybody who's taking 6 credit hours won't have that charge. You can, however, go to the Yates Fieldhouse, the gym, and request a non-mandatory Yates fee, which is the same rate as somebody who has a mandatory fee. Pretty straightforward. Anybody taking 6 credits or less than 6 credits won't have a mandatory health insurance fee. So mandatory health insurance charge won't be assessed on your billing statement unless you're taking 8 or more credit hours. If you're covered under another plan, each fall, the university will charge you this health insurance fee. If you're covered, you'll work with the health insurance office to provide documentation that you're covered under another plan, and they'll work on taking that fee off, so pretty straightforward. There is a graduate student activity fee for all graduate students, and it's $31 for the upcoming academic year, like $15.50 each semester. And that's the dual degree students, it's something that after this presentation, I think I'm going to go around to get your contact information because, or if you can maybe meet me at the door real quick, because with dual degree students, we want to make sure that the cost of attendance reflects what you are partnering with, what other school are you in the program, because it can change based on the program. It might be the same, or it could be different, say if you're in the MBA program in a particular year. So we just want to make sure that you have the accurate portrayal of what a financial aid package might look like. I'm in the process of working with the different programs in that regard to get you the information. Students who are enrolled in 2 different programs, you just want to keep track because if the number of credit hours is different for each program, we awarded you based on one, but not the. We just want to make sure again you have an accurate cost of attendance based on the program you are planning to donate to. If that's your decision, and then also sometimes students might be awarded scholarship from 2 different programs, and so obviously if you're not in a dual degree, something has to give with the other scholarship, and then you adjust your graduate plus loan appropriately. So again, pretty straightforward. We have a cost of attendance. Once upon a time, I gave a whole big cost of attendance. People would gasp, people would faint. So I learned my lesson a long time ago, break out the numbers. And I'm breaking it out not to frighten anybody, but just to give you a realistic idea of what the educational expenses here at Georgetown in the program might be. So the obvious, the direct expenses, something that the billing office, billing and payment services will assess each semester, fall and spring. With the indirect expenses, these are average expenses, so it's something that you want to make sure that you're falling within this range. If you ever go beyond what we have for, say, a living allowance, there's usually some sort of reason the red light goes on and we say, well, wait a minute, what's going on? It's very rare that a graduate student will come to our office to make an appeal and say, I need more financial aid. Financial aid is here not to help you buy a car or a house. Believe it or not, some people have actually done it. And they were so excited that in a couple of instances with cars, that they didn't know exactly what to expect. They lived out of state. So they rewarded themselves with buying a brand new car. And then they realized financial aid wasn't going to cover it. So please don't do that. Then we have the books, travel. Again, these are indirect expenses. This is sort of a budget of what you should stay within. It might be less for you. You might be very knowledgeable about how to find books for your program, for your courses that are less than what these book allowances are for. So it's just to give you a good idea, again, of the educational expenses. And hopefully by now, all of you have gone through and prepared your monthly expenses. I mean, you're all wise consumers. You know what you're getting yourself into, I hope. Yeah? Yes, no? So anyway, but you're investing in your future. So you're going to do a little homework. You probably have done your homework. I've been in open houses where graduate students actually prepared financial aid spreadsheets. And that was very impressive. I didn't expect that at all. I mean, they were very intense, and they had done, and hopefully by now, all of you had also gone through to look for free money outside the university. So it's something that at the bottom of this handout, I did provide a list of different places to go, and you notice that I might have listed some schools down here. So it's not intending for you to give, or for me to give subliminal ideas to go to these other institutions if you were applying to them. But we're all in it together, and you're wise consumers. You want to go to areas where you can find free money, because the idea and the goal is to have not so much debt when you get out of school. So, okay, we have a cost of attendance. Now we prepare a financial aid package. It's pretty straightforward for graduate students, again, no mystery. We award federal loans. So sometimes I've been known as the person who got me into debt. And hopefully you won't say that about me. Please? Yeah. Okay. In fact, I always encourage people, programs, the graduate school is my second home, where to find, how can we help the process in finding free money. And so on the graduate school website is a good place to go, where they list outside funding opportunities, as well as programs will also list outside funding opportunities. So we have two examples here on your handout. Again, straightforward. We have example one, where we just award you federal loans. The $20,500 is the maximum that you can receive, be awarded in one academic year. And then the Graduate Plus loan is another type of federal loan. It is a credit-based loan, so there is a credit application when you go and apply for it. And then example two is what happens if you were awarded scholarship or any outside funding, and how we incorporate it into your financial aid package. You'll notice that we reduce your Graduate Plus loan. Now, hopefully, for those of you who matriculate to either Georgetown or another institution, we can't tell you what types of loans to borrow, but if you look at the fine print of the terms and conditions, you'll notice that the Graduate Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan is the better loan in terms of interest rates, loan origination and interest rates. Sometimes graduate students, when they go through and say, how much financial aid do I need to cover my expenses, and they don't want to borrow up to the total cost of attendance. So what they do is say, Georgetown listed the Graduate Plus loan first, so it might be the better loan, so I'm going to take that and cancel my unsubsidized. Georgetown isn't saying that at all. That's your urban legend. So it's something that you always want to think about first, reducing the Graduate Plus loan, if you are reducing your loans, and keeping your unsubsidized loan intact. So I get into now, how much do you borrow? I mean, what do you do? Have you looked for, are you coming in from out of town, or are you in town? What's your housing situation going to be like? So you'll notice on the handout at the bottom, I have information or a link to the off-campus housing. Now, I'm part of a committee, like a graduate student life type committee, where it's been around for quite a number of years. And it's something that the off-campus housing office knows the plight of graduate students, about the housing plight, no room on campus. So it's something that over time they developed places, and they developed more information that they put on their website about housing that is located close to public transportation. So it is geared to graduate students, so it speaks to you. And likewise, your program could have information to link you up with other students in the program as well. So we have, the time now to say, how much should I borrow? Now again, you're a wise investor. I can't tell you how much to borrow. Sometimes students ask, well, what about the averages in my program? Well, again, you're thinking about your own situation. Everybody is unique. I mean, some might have, there could be trends and whatnot, but everybody's unique in terms of your expenses. Sometimes graduate students want to be conservative and say, I want to borrow up to the total cost of attendance. And that's what they do. And then they manage, and then if they have money left over after they graduate, they might return those monies to the lender and then thereby reduce their payments over time. Sometimes graduate students might say, I already know what I need to borrow. I don't need to borrow up to the total cost of attendance, so I'm going to take the federal direct unsubsidized loan. I'm going to reduce my Graduate Plus loan by $10,000. And so that's what they do. So what happens in February, that same individual says, what have I done? Can I get it back? As long as you're enrolled still in that term, in that year, you want to work with whoever manages your caseload, and we can reinstate, as long as you remain eligible, we'll reinstate if you want an additional $2,000. Sometimes graduate students who borrow up to the total cost, it could be maybe in November. They might say, I don't need so much second semester. So again, they'll contact our office and we'll reduce down the loan amount for maybe the spring semester of the Graduate Plus. So you're in control of your finances, you're in control of the ability to borrow, and you're wise consumers. You want to do your homework. There's no surprises, again, with financial aid for graduate students. The way it works in terms of what we do, we award you financial aid. A lot of you have already received from us a financial aid notification through email. And then it tells you to using your net ID to go into My Access to view your financial aid package. Now your net ID, we had a lot of phone calls and traffic right after we sent out the award notifications about where do I find my net ID. It's in your admission decision letter. So using your net ID, you go into My Access. We're telling you what you're eligible for, but you have to still do a little bit more in terms of loan requirements if you matriculate at Georgetown. So it's pretty obvious. You'd have to complete a master promissory note for both loans if that's what you're borrowing. There's going to be an entrance counseling requirement, again online, for both loans. And then, like I said previously, the Graduate Plus loan, credit-based, the first step in that process is to complete a credit application. The only reason why a Graduate Plus loan won't disperse for somebody who's eligible for it, who completed the master promissory note entrance counseling at the start of the year, is because they forgot that credit authorization. And the number of students who have done that over time has decreased, but it still happens. So just pay attention to that. When the money comes to Georgetown, it's dispersed into two disbursements, a fall and a spring disbursement, straightforward. For those of you who borrow more than the mandatory expenses, the tuition, student activity fee, Yates, for those of you taking full-time, you can request a refund for the Office of Billing and Payment Services. And so you can, again, do that online via My Access. So again, pretty straightforward, no surprises. For each year you're here, you will have to complete another FAFSA form for that year. We will send reminders for any of you who have taken financial aid for this upcoming year. We'll provide you with a reminder via email in the fall saying, hey, now it's time to renew, and you're going to start the process all over again. So it's a fun process, but it's easy, straightforward, and once you do it once, you're going to be a pro until okay. So additional links, additional information regarding your loans I have here. The federal loan repayment, there's a calculator, so you can go and calculate to see. Again, you're a wise investor, you're going to do that along with the payment types of how to repay your loans and ways to do it. And then other important contact information, if there are any veterans, there's a Veterans Resources area, and Linnea and Jimmy Sutton are fantastic. And if you want to contact them, please reach out to them. And then the health insurance, off-campus, billing and payment services, graduate school, it works. So I'm going to wrap up right now and ask if anybody has questions.
Are there opportunities for on-campus, like TA or other York City type jobs?
Great question. Work study won't be an option, but we do have an area into financial services for employment opportunities, and so it'll be both on and off campus. With assistantships, we should ask a program.
What's the living allowance based on? Is that just need the rent?
It's room and board and personal expenses.
So the salary
Other questions? Should I tell you one or two historical facts? Because usually I say you're making history. Wherever you go, you're making history.
I got a quick question. The loans, can we put them in forbearance while we're in school? The grad plus
For-
loans or the unsubsidized loans?
The loans that you're borrowing.
Right.
Yeah, it's something that you can pay. These loans, you're gonna have to pay interest while you're in school. So they're sort of like a deferment type, so that they're gonna be responsible for payment 6 months after you graduate. But the forbearance that you're mentioning, it's also, if you have prior loans at other institutions before coming to Georgetown, Georgetown will send information to the clearinghouse towards the end of the month, end of September, saying, hey, clearinghouse, the student is enrolled here at Georgetown, don't, kind of stop their payments. So if you borrowed previously federal loans, you want to work with your servicer in terms of when you should stop making payment to them if you're currently making payment. But the loans that you're going to borrow, you're going to have interest while you're in school, but they're not going to say, start paying it back. Okay. So quick historical facts. The Healy building, the building where I reside, it's the first building on campus to face the federal city. And you'll notice that there are 2 cannons outside, and supposedly we had special authorization to have them face the federal city. They date back to the 1600s, and so it's the Hawk and the Dove. They came aboard on a Hawk and Dove ship that sailed into Maryland. And then there's a cross in Doggerel Chapel that was blessed by the Pope on his visit here, and that also was part of the Hawk and Dove time frame. And then the steps, we've all seen the infamous steps where all the presidents, well, not all, but 13 or so, have spoken from. If you look at the pictures of the old days, you'll see that there used to not be steps. You would just walk out, and there were no steps. So think of that when you look at old pictures of this place, of this building. And then I guess I'll stop. Stop while I'm ahead. Well, thank you very much. Welcome to Georgetown.